Color grading in Lightroom. This is Lightroom for completely beginners, a series of classes where you will learn how to professionally edit your photos in Lightroom 2024 to start making money with portraits or charge more for your services. If you're new here, I am Silvia, specialist in the magazine style of maternity photography. My goal is to help you improve your retouching skills for you to make more money with photos. Now let's get into the video. We are finally done with all the basic corrections. We went to some more advanced techniques as well. For example, skin retouch, dodge and burn, fixing the background. And now it's time for us to create a color identity for our photos. If you don't have a color identity, what I suggest you to do is to save some photos of other photographers that you like and start comparing them to notice what kind of color pattern that the photos have that you actually like. You start studying what do you like in their photos, and then you can start recreating the colors for your photography or their style for your photography, kind of mixing everything and seeing what you like the most. For my style of photography, I work a lot with analogous color, which are groups of colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. This has something to do with the color theory. If you don't know any of what I'm talking about, don't stress out about it. So for my photography, I like to use colors that goes towards the brown, oranges. But again, if you have no idea of what you like, start saving some photos and see what is similar between the photos so you can start recreating the colors for your photography and actually finding your color identity. The easiest way for us to do the color grading in Lightroom is going to be by working in the color grading tab. There are other ways that you can work colors in Lightroom, but to be honest, this color grading tab is pretty good and it's perfect for you to start working on your photos and creating a color identity for your photos. So let's understand what color grading is. Color grading is pretty much adding color to your photo. So for example, I do not have any blue tones, but I can just add some cooler bluish colors to this photo right now. So for example, I'm gonna go to the global option here and I'm gonna add some blue colors to my photo. So the colors will give different feelings to your photo. So right now that I applied a bunch of blue, I have a photo that's a little bit more intriguing, a little bit more dramatic, a little bit more cold. I can also add something a little bit more green. I can go to pink. So I'm just adding colors to my photo and I'm changing the feeling of my photo. This is pretty much what color grading is and will do to your photo. I'm gonna go back to 0. Now let's understand what we have here in the color grading tab. We have all of these colorful circles, and the way that they work is that you are gonna apply color depending on the luminosity of your photo. So if you wanna apply a certain color in the highlights and the brightest part of your photo, you're gonna use the highlight circle. Now, if you wanna work on the shadows, you're gonna use the shadows circle. And if you wanna work on the middle tones, you are gonna add some color and move a little bit of this circle here. So you can do different coloring depending on the luminosity of your photo. We can see them individually as well. So we can work on the shadows, we can work on the middle tones, and we can work on the highlights. And another one that we have that a lot of people don't know of is this last one here, that it's the global. The global is pretty much working in all the luminosity of your photo. So it doesn't matter the luminosity of your photo, it's just working on the photo. So let's add some color to the shadows and you're gonna understand how it works. I'm gonna add some pink to the shadows, and now the darkest areas of my photo has this pink color. If I get close to her face, right now, you're going to see that this part here is not pink. It has a little bit of her orange brown tones, and it's not being affected with the pink color. And to prove you this, I'm gonna go back with this pink to 0. I'm gonna go to the global. The global is the color that it's being applied in the whole photo, independent of the luminosity of the photo. And I'm gonna go and have pink here. And now you can see that her forehead, where I have the highlight, is now pink as well. If I go back here, and now I go to the highlight section and I add some pink, you're gonna see that the pink is being added to the highlight. And now the shadows and the middle tones, they don't have that much of the pink color. You don't see the pink color because it's being added to the highlight of the photo. And another thing that you can do and choose the colors is, instead of just like dragging this small circle around the circle, is by using the hue, saturation, and luminance that we have down here. It might be easier for you to be more assertive of the color that you want. So I'm gonna go up with the saturation, and I can just select the hue by just dragging the triangle from here. Let's say that I want some blue, so like around here, something more cooler, but I don't want that intensity on the color, so I can just bring down the saturation. I'm gonna bring down all the way, and then I'm gonna slowly bring up. Now let's go back to all of the color wheels together. We have the blending and the balance options down here, so I'm gonna choose a few different colors for our photo so we can see how the blending and the balance works in the photo. I'm gonna add some blue colors to the shadows. I'm gonna add some green colors to the middle tones, and I'm gonna add some pink to the highlight. So I'm gonna be moving a little bit of the blending, and what the blending option does is just to blend the colors a little bit better. So you're gonna notice that the shadows is gonna start blending a little bit more with the middle tones, and the highlights are also gonna start blending a little bit more with the middle tones. So you have a better transition between the colors instead of a really harsh transition. So if I drag to the right, I have a better blending of the colors between the luminosity of the photo. And if I drag to the left, I have less of this fading transition between the colors. It is a little bit hard to see, but that's what blending is doing to your photo. Now the balance is more about how much of weight do you want to put in the highlight or the shadow. So for example, in our highlight, we have the pink color. If I drag the balance to the right, I'm telling Lightroom that I want the pink color to have a better weight than all the other colors. If I start going to the left side, I'm telling Lightroom that I want the shadows to have a more weight on over the other colors in my photo. So that's what balance is. Let me go back here. Let me go all the way back with all the colors. And now let's start doing the color grading. For my photo, like I said before, I like to work towards the brown, oranges, and yellows. So it's more the colors that are kind of close to each other. So what I would do it right here would be going to the shadows, and I would choose something that it's brown. I like to bring some brown colors to my shadows. And right now, I'm just gonna go all the way and see the hue that I want for my brown. I can actually go to the shadows right here and work individually. So I'm gonna go all the way and just see the brown color that I want. And I think that right here is right in between the orange and the yellow. I really like this color. It's too saturated, so I'm gonna go back with the saturation, and slowly I'm just gonna bring up, and I think that this looks pretty good for me. And I'm gonna play a little bit with the luminance here of the shadow area, so I can make it lighter or I can make it darker. And in this case, I think I'm gonna make just slightly darker, very slightly. Now I'm gonna go to the highlights, and I'm also gonna add some brown color, and I think that the same around here is good. I'm gonna lower the saturation to 0 because it's way too intense, and slightly I'm just gonna bring up just a little bit of that color in my photo. I think that here is good. Let me see the lighting. I think I'm gonna go up with the light a little bit. I think 20 is good. Here's before and after. Let me even get close here so you can see better. Before and after. Now she has more of like this tin on her face. If you notice here, the forehead and the cheek, you can see that she has more color, more summer vibe. It feels a little bit warmer. I really like this warm feelings to my photo. So this is how much I would do for color grading my photo. Here's the before, here's the after. It is way more interesting. This is going towards my color identity. I'm gonna save a snapshot here because I just wanna show you that you can do so much with color grading though. Let's tweak a little bit of the color grading now, and let's add some oranges to the shadows again. Make this photo to be very warm. Now for the middle tones, instead of adding some oranges and browns, I'm gonna add the opposite color. So I'm gonna be working with complementary color, and the opposite color would be the opposite color in the color wheel, because this is a color wheel. So I'm just gonna drag to the opposite direction, and right now you have a pretty interesting color grading as well. Let me bring this bluish tones to the highlight as well. So right now you have a different color grading for your photo. It's something interesting as well, something different. But if every of your photos has this kind of color, your clients will see that and will be like, oh, this is from this photographer, because it has an identity in your photos. So we can tweak this a little bit more. We can go to the global as well and just try to make it a little bit more bluish. It reminds me a little bit more of a fiction kind of photo. So this is a really cool color grading. You can do something that it's more like matrix style, so with more greens on your photo. So let's say that instead of the oranges, we want to do something more green on the shadows. And right now just had a situation here with the fire alarm, so I needed to leave the place. But continuing the video right now, you can do something that's a little bit more matrix, going to the green. So I'm selecting the green. This is something that's very, very different. If you're starting and you don't know the color grading that you like, you don't need to do something very different like this. You can do something that's way more simple as well. You don't need to be that colorful like how it's showing you. You can do something that's more simple. So for example, you can go to the highlights and bring a little bit more of like the warm feelings, like this yellow, more orangish. I'm gonna bring this yellow tones to the highlight. For the shadows, I'm gonna make it a little bit colder, so a little bit more cyan, nothing too much. For the middle tones, let's see. We can do something that's a little bit more cold as well. And right now you have a different color grading for your photo. This is the before and this is the after. Before and after. We can do something that's a little bit more simple as well. So for example, we can go to the middle tones and bring a little bit of the blue tones, almost green. And now to the highlight, we can make a little bit warmer feeling. So bring a little bit of the orange and the yellows. So let's see. I think that the yellow looks a little bit better. So we can do this. We can make the highlights a little bit lighter and more intense. And the middle tones, let's see. I think a little bit lighter as well. And for the shadows, you can choose to not add any color, but just make it darker a little bit, or bring it up the lighting of the shadows. I think that bringing up the lighting is good. And here's the before and here's the after. Before and after, it looks pretty good. So this is the color grading for my photo. That's totally different This is a before and after. It's something that's way more saturated and way more brown, red. And this is the other color grading that we created that's a little bit greenish, that's a little bit going towards the green. The blues is a little bit colder, but also it's a little bit less intense and vibrant. And this looks beautiful as well. It just has a different feeling. Now you know how to color grade your photos very easily in Lightroom. Click the like button if this video was helpful for you. Stay tuned for the next lessons of this course, because by the end of it, you will have photos that stand out more and more, and that's good if you're trying to attract more clients and make more money. Also, subscribe to my channel if you're not yet. New videos come out every week. For now, this is everything. I will see you in the next time.